Hello, everyone. Welcome to the DI 101 webinar series. I am Jared Evans, the Director of Marketing for Distribution International. If you haven't joined us on one of these webinars before, I will tell you that it is a great resource offered to our customers, partners, and associates. By partnering with our manufacturers and our industry experts, we use these webinars to deliver informative presentations about industry trends, new technology, new products, and product applications. In order to fully support our customers, Distribution International does offer products and solutions from multiple manufacturers and brands and in many different product categories. So this webinar does not represent an endorsement of one manufacturer or brand over another. We pride ourselves in partnering with manufacturers that deliver products of the highest quality to our customers. We are excited to partner with Aspen Aerogels for today's webinar. Their webinar today will discuss strategic solutions that drive profitability using Cryogel and Pyrogel. Let me introduce our presenters. We have Mike Alcorn, who has more than 10 years of experience in the industry. He is a former DI employee, actually, so welcome back, Mike. He holds a variety of roles, including sales, inside sales manager, fab shop manager, and he is also a NIA certified inspector, an NACE member, as well as a SWCA volunteer and board member. Mike is responsible for the Gulf Coast region for Aspen. We also have Chase Tanner. Chase has more than a decade of experience in the oil and gas industry, spanning upstream, midstream, and downstream. He is a member of NACE, NIA, as well as the Midwest Insulation Contractors Association. Chase provides contracting support for the U.S. with regional expertise covering Appalachia, the Southern Midwest, and the Rockies. We are very proud to have Aspen Aerogels present today, and we certainly thank them for their time. We will pause for questions at the end of the webinar. To submit questions, please use the questions tab there on your GoToWebinar control panel. You can submit your questions at any point during the webinar, and we will answer them during the question period at the end. Without further delay, I will turn this over to Chase Tanner with Aspen Aerogels.
Thank you, Jared. And thank you, Distribution International, for giving Aspen the opportunity to speak today. It goes without saying, we've all seen challenges in recent times. With an ever-increased focus on delivering projects on time and within budget, correctly identifying situations where opportunities to positively impact the outcome is of utmost importance. In the insulation industry, Aspen Aerogels continues to provide the strategic solutions that drive profitability. You will see real cases today around tailored solutions that delivered real savings back to multiple parties, including owners, contractors, EPCs, and distribution sources. Furthermore, many cases positioned the contractors into a prominent role as a trusted advisor. Today, we want to focus on you, the value you bring to the equation, and how Pyrogel and Cryogel plus you equal a winning solution.
So contractors, well, they're responsible for a lot more than simply installing insulation. You are consistently tasked with addressing challenges to make the work area safer, to keep projects on schedule, and to do so while dealing with a level of material and resource constraints the industry has never faced, all while delivering results under an aggressive financial target. Every day, the work varies and can be extremely unpredictable. As we all know, installing insulation takes place at the end of the maintenance, turnaround, or construction process, but unfortunately, insulation is typically not treated as important at all until startup delays make completion a priority. Schedule pressures are mounting by the time a project gets to the installation stage. Flexibility to keep timelines on track or even to shorten them to bring the overall project schedule back within plan is critical. Pyrogel and Cryogel provide that necessary flexibility. One product to manage, easy to install, can be used across the facility and regardless of the level of installer experience. And that can make a big difference. In this session, we're going to tell some of the stories that you have shared with us, and we will highlight the challenges facing contractors today, contractors as situational experts, and the value of the Aspen Aerogel solution. Because many years ago, there was this unspoken challenge to reimagine the role of mechanical insulation. and Pyrogel and Cryogel presented an alternative to wet insulation, thus preventing CUI. We made it durable to stand up to anything that anyone could throw at it. We made it tough to withstand transportation from a pre-installation site or to stay in place after repeated flooding in underground vaults. We made it to be a solution. And every day, projects both big and small are being executed, but that work does not happen without the contractor. We have an opportunity to maximize the return on effort put forth. So here are some of the times we solve the problems together.
Thank you, Mike. Milestones are how we benchmark success of a project. The drive for simplification and the ability to de-risk projects continues to be the goal of everyone. Doing more with less arguably carries more weight today than it did 3 years ago, much less 6 to 8 months ago. Furthermore, the creativity needed to deliver upon the largest milestones in being on time and under budget is more important now than ever before. We are all accountable to execute effectively. Ask yourself, what does it mean if I can offer project simplification through scenarios otherwise seen as an afterthought? What does that look like? Can I pre-insulate? Can I insulate and lift without compromise? Can I ship without damaging the system? Can I eliminate rework? For example, in a recent LNG project, the contractor strategically kitted their tie-in materials and modules showed up fully insulated in Cryogel Z. The contractor's concern around speed was paramount. They even went so far as to insulate significant pipe sections, including supports and vapor stops, using Cryogel and lifted them into place. The load on these lifts is arguably the most impressive. Imagine the engineering feats everyone overcame, including the pipe. Whether it was the EPC, owner, contractor, or crane operator, trust me when I say that skepticism was alive. Beautifully, they lifted these pipe sections with slings over the jacketing and set into place without incident. Success or failure would be obvious during plant commissioning. Upon startup, the true test commenced. Guess what? No rework, damage, and this includes vapor stops as well. All of these milestones were key to being one of the fastest LNG plants from initial design to first LNG produced.
So one of the challenges that we hear regularly is that you're expected to make do with and get more out of what you have. Look, new equipment is increasingly hard to come by, and getting approved capital can be even more difficult. So District Energy presents another example of how Pyrogel XTE was used to do more than simply get by where everything else had failed. We had an opportunity to work with a major university to address the maintenance and performance of their steam supply network. This network, well, it was housed in underground vaults. Not only were the spaces cramped, but they also frequently reached temperatures upwards of 200 degrees Fahrenheit due to underperforming or altogether missing insulation. As if that wasn't bad enough, the vaults would frequently flood, compromising steam quality, destroying insulation, and introducing CUI. The engineers and contractors, they felt as if they had already tried everything imaginable and were now considering the costly option of adding an additional boiler to increase steam supply and avoid the system being down. The, well, it's the way we've always done it way of thinking just wasn't working. So the situation demanded a change. Pyrogel XTE was installed and put to the test. The vaults, yeah, they still flood. That hasn't changed. But the Pyrogel that was installed is still firmly in place and performing the same way it performed on day one. The safety issues are gone, and the original boiler setup is adequately supplying enough steam to support the entire network. As far as our insulation, no matter how many times the vault floods and empties, the blankets emerge dry and continue to be the reliable reason that steam supply is no longer a concern.
How many times have you found yourself in a situation that was a surprise? This couldn't be truer for our sector within the industrial industry. Though many have accepted fate as, we are last in, and this is just how it is, time and time again, we design out of convenience saying, this is how it's always been done. But here's an example of where a different approach was taken, resulting in a more positive outcome. We had a plant whose amine unit was within their critical path. Loss of this unit would cause them to lose half of the plant's throughput. Their current vessels were operating under end-of-life conditions. New vessels were fabricated ahead of a fall turnaround, but as fate had it, they were overweight and delayed. The contractor realized the only option was to find solutions that would avoid costly civil work and project schedule creep. What was the solution? Insulating during pre-turnaround activities, utilizing Pyrogel XTE and Pyrogel XTF. They insulated using a crew of 4, working 8-hour shifts ahead of the turnaround. The contractor not only saved the plant 10 days off an already compressed schedule with these solutions, but eliminated the risk of emergency civil work on the existing vessel foundations. Not having to live in the confines of this is how we always have done something helps save significant cost associated with delays and loss of throughput.
As some of you may know, I worked as an operator at a specialty chemical plant in Deer Park, Texas before coming to Aspen Aerogels. And I'm not sure if anyone else's training was different than mine, but there wasn't a section on what is insulation and what does it do. It was simply that crunchy stuff that we walked on. So they passed out hard hats and channel locks and told everybody, get out there, go be safe. Although the plan was for things to run smoothly, I spent many graveyards dreaming up ways to keep process moving forward when things did not go as planned. And it never fell that things would go wrong on a Friday, right around shift change, when there was a past due batch set to load out and was only missing one ingredient. Of course, that product would solidify on the line if temperatures were not held constant, and that line always plugged at the worst time possible. In order to clear the line, operators armed with their trusty channel locks and steam lances destroyed the insulation at least once a month. Well, the real problem though was that the pipe was in a high traffic zone between units. So no sooner than new insulation was installed, it was already being destroyed and the critical heat was being lost. A plugged line meant that the process had to be shut down and the batch could not be completed, delaying other scheduled batches as well. Then that line had to be hydroblasted to clear the solid product, and this could take over a week. Once the line was cleared, well, the true artisans of the industry, contractors, went to work stripping insulation and replacing all that was damaged. Immediately after the craftsmen were finished delivering pristine, shiny pipe racks, though, operations continued using it as a convenient walkway. That cycle continued and continued until a decade later, Pyrogel was installed because of its resilience, durability, and ability to efficiently maintain process temperatures. The facility finally stopped revisiting the project a dozen times every year and stopped wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars. The elimination of compromises in the insulation system resulted in a consistent line temperature, and the worry of plugged lines were no longer a concern, keeping the plant online and reducing costly downtime. So even if another plugged line popped up and a steam lance was used, though, not only would the material not be damaged, but our insulation could also be removed and reused multiple times with no reduction in performance, making it much easier to complete maintenance and inspection checks while reducing material handling, logistics, and ultimately costs.
Listen, contractors are often asked to serve as the situational experts within a facility. In a recent project in the Chicago area, the on-site contractor was able to identify a serious problem and offer the best solution. The contractor noticed a specification called for placing 6 inches of rigid insulation on a particular tower. That seemed like an excessive thickness to them for the process conditions given. The goal was to insulate off-site in order to make the job easier and safer. Not to mention the savings in time and capital by not having to assemble the significant amount of scaffolding that would have been required. The contractor suggested a switch to Pyrogel, which offered superior thermal performance and is easy to install. Plus, it would be able to withstand the required transportation without issue. After switching the specification to Pyrogel, the tower was pre-insulated and transported almost 1,000 miles to the facility and hoisted into position. The original rigid insulation would have been heavier, taken longer to install, and less able to withstand the rigors of transport from the pre-installation site. This is another great example of a contractor who added value by identifying a problem and providing the right solution. It not only turned out to be the right solution to keep the owner on schedule, but it also delivered a significant cost savings for the facility from unnecessary material purchases and installation cost.
At the beginning of today's discussion, we mentioned strategy. And when we have an opportunity to see the positive impacts of the strategic decisions made by individuals several years removed, we can all celebrate the wins. In a recent Gulf Coast refinery turnaround, Pyrogel XTE was planned to be removed from piping, equipment, and vessels, then inventoried and staged to be reinstalled when the project was completed. So this planner was committed to delivering the better outcomes that his predecessor had envisioned for the facility. When the bill of materials was sent out, both the contractor and the distributor, they were surprised and somewhat concerned about the missing insulation, both from a revenue and margin perspective. Instead of resisting though, they followed the plan to remove and reuse the Pyrogel insulation. The result of taking on the challenge was that the project was completed under budget, which freed up capital dollars to address other areas of the plant that were not initially funded or even being considered. The contractor picked up all of the additional work as a result of their creative material management, and the distributor saw a 20% increase in insulation revenue above what they had projected for the site. This reuse of Pyrogel XTE saved time, reduced costs, resulted in an earlier return to service, and counterintuitively increased the financial performance of both the contractor and the distributor. So insulation paying dividends, yeah, that's pretty unheard of in our industry, but that's exactly what Pyrogel can do. And the strategic decisions that we make today are the ones that those who follow us will be thankful for in the future.
Strategic project planning and positioning will continue to be critical. Solutions offered through Aspen Aerogels continue to rewrite long-written narratives. Today, we are all expected to keep jobs on schedule with uncertain material availability, unpredictable labor resources, little notice to start a job, and shorter lead times to complete a project. When you are asked to do the impossible, partners in Distribution International and Aspen Aerogels are critical. In stock, on time, and material simplification are the strategic solutions that drive profitability. In addition, Distribution International offers solutions through MIT, which can provide specialty cut material such as elbows, valves, tees, cut to length, along with any additional components to ensure teams in the field can keep working efficiently. Aspen Aerogels and Distribution International are an extension to contractors and projects team alike. Aspen helps make jobs easier and safer to maximize success. On behalf of Mike and myself, we would like to thank you for your time and engagement. Let's open it up for questions. And Jared, back to you.
Thank you, guys. That was great. We don't have any questions just yet, but while we're waiting on people to kind of gather their thoughts and submit something, I do just kind of want to give a absolutely shameless plug about our website, distributioninternational.com. We can't really call it new anymore. It's been a couple years, but since we launched our online customer platform called Customer Connect, but it does have a wide range of value-added features, including our a full-blown customer portal where you can view past invoices, purchase online, request a quote, all kinds of stuff. And there's just a full catalog with all kinds of product details that you can browse through. So it's a great resource. First question, let's see here. What compressive strength is the material and how appropriate is it for use in pre-insulated pipe supports?
So on the compressive strength, that's one of the things that's really cool about Aspen Aerogels is that we have a robust tech services department that can provide all sorts of more data and details than we can provide in one webinar. So if I'll make sure that I connect with you to get with whoever it was that asked the question to get all that to you later. But we have, the first project that Chase talked about, and actually I'll toss it back to him, was one of the cases to where we had an enormous amount of pre-installs in supports and shipped it to site, lifted it in place, and that's something that we do every single day. So Chase, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, to kind of expound on what Mike says, time and time again, Aspen finds themselves in the scenario of, insulating something offsite or frankly across the ocean and having to worry about sea transportation and things. And continually speaking, the resiliency of whether it be Cryogel or Pyrogel have withstood the rigors of modes of transportation from a global perspective for many years and continues to do so. Uniquely, you bring up, you ask about compressive strength. The beauty is of Pyrogel and Cryogel, it's already in compression essentially on its own. So they're the compressive strength and the actual figures and calculations, we can work that and get that back to the individual that asked this question. But I would definitely challenge the way of thinking to everybody on this call that you can utilize us in scenarios that normally you wouldn't even consider using or doing with other insulation types of materials.
All right, next question we have, what resources are available to customers that might be new to using Aspen products?
So Aspen uniquely, I mean, everybody sees us as an insulation company, but at heart, we're actually a technology company. The unique thing is at Aspen, and we have a plethora of tools that we can actually share and share with, as well as train to on how to utilize multiple things for several scenarios, whether it be project design, insulation thickness calculations, or comparative analysis. For that being said, from incumbent material to what we are now. So, what I would say is we have no shortness of tools available for whatever whatever scenario you're looking at.
So
Mike, do you
to
have
add to
anything you
that,
want to add to that?
yeah, I was going to say that, you mentioned some of the things like calculators and stuff that we can send out to the users to be able to be somewhat self-sufficient on the fly. But I mean, I alluded to it earlier about the strength of our tech services department, and we really do. We make an investment to make sure that we support what's going on in the industry. We don't want anyone out there fumbling through things or feeling as if they're all alone trying to figure out how to install Pyrogel and Cryogel. It's not just whoever the rep is or whoever is regionally close that the end user can get a hold of. I feel like we work together across the organization to support. So we have calls come in all the time from all over the globe where people are asking really weird questions about really strange applications. And the cool thing that I think that Pyrogel and Cryogel has always been utilized to do is to solve problems. Oftentimes, whenever nothing else seems to work, and people bring stuff to us and say, "Hey, this is what I'm running up against. Can you offer a solution?" And so there's several individuals in the organization who are set up to support. We do offer some on-site training services whenever it's needed, especially whenever there's a project kicking off or something like that. So we'll be on site to handhold and make sure that everyone feels comfortable about a successful installation.
All right, last one. What have you done lately to help for multi-layer application, would you recommend the first 2 layers of continuous wound and subsequent layers cut to length? What is the logic here?
So I think that it depends on the application. We would approve both, and some contractors have found that a continuous wrap of 2 layers has minimized the labor involved in putting it on. They can do 2 wraps at once essentially and eliminate some pass-through seams. Others feel a little bit more comfortable, depending on, again, pipe size or application, to install the first layer, to have the opportunity to rotate everything, and then use that as the process to eliminate seams. So I think that it kind of depends on the application and the situation, but both are acceptable. And at the end of a successful application of either of those approaches, the system's going to perform the way it was designed to.
Great. All righty. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for the presentation. We wanted to keep this within 30 minutes to be respectful of your time. So we didn't get to every question, but so if we didn't get to your question, I'm going to submit those to Mike and Chase and have them get with you directly to address your question. So I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for joining us today. Stay tuned for future webinars with different manufacturers and different topics. And if you have any feedback about topics, please feel free to please reach out to us and let us know what kind of topics you would like to see discussed on these webinars. So with that, I want to thank everybody for your time and wish you all to enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.